Hi everyone, welcome to the third series, or part 3 of the series, Seniors Hormone Health, and today's on insulin. So you're going to learn how that corresponds to cholesterol and stress, things that we've already spoke about. A little bit about me first. I am from Kingsville and I became a certified general machinist and worked at North Star Aerospace for 19 years. And before then I suffered from hormone imbalance since my early teen years. And I was diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And after that, other gut health issues started to surface, even though I led a healthy lifestyle. And once chronic heartburn surfaced during a stressful time in my life, I'd been trying to lose weight, trying to eat healthy, exercise, all that, and it wasn't helping me at all. That's when I realized I had to change what I was doing, because it wasn't working. And that's when I adopted a holistic natural approach, and it changed my view of what wellness was. So after years of trying that, I finally started seeing results. And because we gradually decline in our health, it takes time to build that back up. And I knew I wanted to help other people overcome their health issues, because I wouldn't shut up about it, and they were telling me, oh, I have the same thing. So I knew I wasn't alone. That's when I enrolled in the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition and retired from the machining trade and became a registered holistic nutritionist. And that is your whole body focused, not just weight loss focused. So here's a medical disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, but this is just for informational purposes only. So what are hormones? This is a little recap of the past two talks. They are chemical messengers that help regulate systems in the body and our bodily function. They're sending signals to other hormones, other organs in the body, other neurotransmitters, and without them we wouldn't be who we are, or we wouldn't even be alive. And blood sugar is regulated by the hormone insulin, which has a codependent relationship with cortisol, our stress hormone, and so if one goes up, so does the other. And when our stress hormone cortisol goes up, we also need more progesterone, if you remember from the first talk, which will call on more cholesterol, because when there's not enough cortisol made in the adrenals, if they're tired from all this stress, it can pull from that progesterone level. So it's like a backup system. So the players in hormone health are adrenal hormones, thyroid hormones, reproductive hormones, digestive hormones, the gut, liver, pancreas, that's what we're going to be talking about today, since that's where insulin is made, and the pineal gland and the hypothalamus. So the last two are in the brain, so as you can see, it's a whole body system at play here. So the pancreas is a soft triangular gland that is spread across the abdomen from the spleen to the duodenum, and it makes enzymes that break down all categories of digestible food. So it's amylase, protease, lipase, and pancreatin. That's going to break down the fats, the fibers, and the proteins. And these enzymes are secreted into the duodenum, just like bile from the liver, if you remember from last month, and it is in an alkaline fluid that neutralizes the acidic chyme coming from the stomach. So your stomach is supposed to be acidic. Then it switches to alkaline in the duodenum. And the pancreas is both exocrine and endocrine function. So the exocrine function is what I just spoke about. It's the production of the enzymes. And without these enzymes, we would suffer from indigestion, bloating, and gas. And it is essential for providing nutrients to make the hormones. So that's where you're going to absorb the nutrients from your food in the duodenum, and that's going to make the proteins and the fatty acids, which your hormones need to be able to produce. Your body needs that to produce the hormones. And your pancreas also produces that bicarbonate to neutralize the stomach acids in the duodenum. And the enzymes won't work and break down your food if it's not in the alkaline environment. So the endocrine function of the pancreas is to produce these three hormones. Insulin, that helps get glucose into the cells from the blood and lowers it in the blood. And glucagon that raises blood sugar when it's low by working with the liver to convert glycogen to glucose. So the liver we talked about last month, powerhouse, lots of stuff going on in the liver. And somatostatin helps to control the release of other hormones. So in the GI tract, somatostatin reduces gastric secretion and the emission of gastrointestinal hormones, such as secretin and gastrin. So gastrin is stimulated when food reaches the stomach, and that's going to signal the release of the hydrochloric acid. And secretin signals the release of that sodium bicarbonate in the pancreas and the bile in the liver. So in other words, you have hormones telling other hormones to tell your organs to do something. And because it balances hormones, the somatostatin, issues with these can cause other hormone problems. So without the proper building blocks for hormones, and that's the proteins and the fats, broken down in their absorbable form in the duodenum, formed by those enzymes and bacteria, in the proper environment, alkaline environment, the hormone imbalance will occur. So some more about somatostatin. It is made in several areas of the body, but primarily the digestive system and the nervous system. And it is also known as the growth hormone inhibitory hormone, regulates hormones in a number of areas of the body by preventing the production of too many. And in the pancreas, it prevents too much insulin and glucagon. And it regulates the hypothalamus, signaling, and in turn the pituitary function, the growth hormone, the thyroid stimulating hormone, and it's part of our stress response. And it doesn't matter what type of stress that is. It's the same process. And chronic stress alters somatostatin receptors in the brain. So our stress response and the pancreas. Cortisol, which is made in the adrenals, converts to cortisone, and that's going to help lower the insulin levels, and that's made in the pancreas. And insulin is pro-inflammatory, so more cortisol is needed because that's a stress, and it will also need cortisone to lower that inflammation. And high cortisol, our stress hormone, causes blood sugar to swing up and down because the liver will convert that glycogen to glucose and release the glucose into the blood for increased alertness during our fight or flight mode when stress response is triggered. So, and that, like I said, that's every kind of stress, emotional, physical, psychological. And the problem is, we're supposed to run from that bear. The stress is supposed to be kind of physical, and it's not supposed to be watching the news and wherever we're getting the other stress. So so that's going to increase the glucose, and when that's not used up by running from that bear and getting rid of that extra energy, and that's what glucose is trying to do, give you energy to run from that bear, the cortisol will be continuously secreted. That's going to destabilize your blood sugar, and that stresses the pancreas, and it won't be able to handle that glucose load, and just by releasing the insulin. And chronic stress will result in lean body mass, a loss of lean body mass, changing our body composition and metabolism, and that will result in the fatty midsection, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease down the road. So the process of insulin, this is how it works in the body. It takes glucose out of the blood and puts it into our cells, and specifically the fat and muscle cells. And it locks onto receptor sites like a key in a lock, and it opens the cells so that glucose can enter that cell. So the top picture here, you have the healthy pancreas. There's insulin in the blood. There's the receptor. The insulin sits on there, triggers it. The glucose goes into the cell, giving you energy. In type 1 diabetes, there is no insulin in the blood. So that receptor could be working right, but if there's nothing there to bring it, to trigger it, glucose is also staying in the blood, not going into the cell. And in type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance means that insulin cannot lock onto that receptor site. So it's kind of broken, the lock's not working. And that's when glucose stays high in the blood, and as well as insulin. So insulin resistance is also known as metabolic syndrome. and 25% of the population has a resistance to their insulin. And low HDL, high density lipoprotein, if you remember from last month, and high triglycerides, so that's the sugar, are frequently found with insulin resistance in people with or without type 2 diabetes. And it will just promote a predominant hyperglycemic state in the body due to the inability of the insulin to latch onto those receptor sites. And we're going to kind of recap what we learned last month in this slide. Glucose is a highly energetic compound, and it spontaneously oxidizes and produces the free radicals. Having high amounts of glucose in the blood results in lots of free radical damage to the epithelial linings of the blood vessels. And glucose can bond to those lipoproteins, which inhibit the LDL, low density lipoprotein, carrying the cholesterol to the cell, increasing cholesterol levels in the blood, allowing it to have a better chance of being attacked by free radicals. And if you remember from last month, when cholesterol is attacked by free radicals in the blood, it oxidizes, and that's what turns it into the bad cholesterol. So glucose might be the underlying cause of your free radicals and why cholesterol is trying to attack that damage. Because remember, cholesterol is anti-inflammatory as well. And if LDL and cholesterol aren't taken up into the cells, higher levels of cholesterol go back to the liver. And that HDL, the returning lipoprotein, won't be able to keep up due to the excess of LDL and the cholesterol. And the liver is also essential for removing glucose from the blood to convert it from glycogen. So, but as you can see, lots of stuff going on in the liver. And the liver becomes insulin intolerant and over time damaged by that excess insulin because it's not really supposed to be going back there. And glucose that comes back to the liver will be converted into saturated fat and more cholesterol. So there's your snowball effect. Insulin and the hormone connection. High insulin or insulin resistance in the blood causes the liver to make less SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin, and this means less sex hormone binding globulin to bind to both estrogen and testosterone, and that's going to help regulate both hormones. And high insulin caused by the production of more testosterone, because if you remember from the first video or first talk, progesterone is a precursor to testosterone, and cortisol, when there's not enough for the adrenals, it can convert the progesterone to the cortisol, but it needs testosterone to do that. And all of that is made from cholesterol. So excess cortisol it is different for every person. It all depends on what's going on in your body. Sometimes it can be too much estrogen, sometimes too much testosterone. And it's mostly because of this stress response. Excess cortisol elevates estrogen levels by encouraging the conversion of testosterone to estrogen, resulting in high levels of estrogen. So if someone eats a healthy diet, even low in glucose, and they don't have an insulin problem, maybe that's why they are testing high in the estrogen. Women who have too much testosterone usually have polycystic ovarian syndrome, insulin resistance, dysglycemia, and dysbiosis, which is the poor gut microbiome. And symptoms of polycystic ovarian syndrome are acne, unwanted hair growth, irregular painful periods, bloating, and constipation. So dysglycemia refers to an imbalance of sugar in the bloodstream. Levels rise abruptly following the ingestion of refined carbohydrates, leading to a surge of energy and a quick drop within a few hours, leading to tiredness and irritability. And it's usually due to sugar addictions and is a precursor to type 2 diabetes. And it can result from overeating sugars, starches, refined carbs, too much stress, caffeine, poor calorie distribution, so eating a little bit throughout the day and then a huge meal at night, and a deficiency in vitamins and minerals due to bad digestion, poor absorption, drug use, infection, and autoimmune diseases. Dysbiosis is the imbalance of good gut bacteria and bad in the digestive system. And it also refers to any inflammation in any of the areas of the system, or digestive system: stomach, liver, pancreas, the duodenum, the small intestine, and the large intestine. And it also refers to damage to any area of the digestive system and can result in excess yeast, food sensitivities, and allergies. So this is a cool finding of a study done on metformin drugs. And metformin lowers glucose in the liver and thereby lowering high blood sugar, but the method of how that works is unclear, so that's probably why they're studying it. And the side effects of metformin are nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. And a new study shows that it alters gut bacteria. So it was a double-blind placebo study. People with type 2 diabetes took metformin for 4 months, or a placebo, so a fake metformin pill with nothing, probably a sugar pill. After the 4 months, gut bacteria was measured. The metformin group had a significant increase in good gut bacteria. And then after that, the placebo group was given the metformin, and they had similar results. And mice given bacteria from metformin group also responded with improved glucose tolerance. And if you'd like to check out that study, I put it here in the slides. So, different strands of good bacteria have been studied and found to help regulate blood sugar. One study of rabbits found that skin bacteria, S. aureus, produces toxins that have been linked to insulin resistance, glucose intolerance, and obesity. And the toxin interacts with fat cells and in the immune system to cause chronic inflammation, which is a factor for type 2 diabetes and high cholesterol. And insulin responds to the high blood sugar, which is pro-inflammatory. Remember the cortisol, or it will work with the cortisol and convert it to cortisone, and that's to lower the blood sugar and relieve the inflammation. So gut bacteria helps regulate blood sugar and insulin. Both the liver and the pancreas are involved in digestion, as are gut bacteria, and they all have their own microbiomes. So your liver has its own microbiome, pancreas, tons of different microbiomes, your skin, your mouth, and good gut bacteria supports liver function. Many type 2 diabetics do not convert glucose to glycogen well, and that increases the glucose to fat conversion in the liver there. And the gut relationship to adrenals and stress also plays a role, because stress slows down digestion, which will feed the bad bacteria, and it'll be there longer than it should. That's going to produce more toxins and byproducts from the bad bacteria, which the liver then has to filter out too. So overburdened liver, we all know what that's going to manifest into. And a study found that adults today have more difficulty maintaining the same weight than we did 20 to 30 years ago. And mostly because we're more sedentary. We have the increase in antibiotic use, which it's good for the bad bacteria, but it also kills the good bacteria that you need. And our GMO foods and more pesticides and herbicides used on our foods, so that stresses the liver. And an increase in fast food consumption, and that is due to our busy lives. And it's also considered comfort food to help us in our stressful times. So as you can see, there's too many things stacked against us. And foods that can spike blood sugar levels, and it might not be the same for everybody. Simple carbohydrates found in white bread, white rice, white pasta, and desserts made with the white flour. Corn syrup is liquid sugar, or refined white sugar found in pop, juices, and soft drinks and candies. And breakfast cereals, you gotta watch, they add sugar to those, as well as the yogurt and milk alternatives. So even the soy milk or the coconut milk, they look for the unsweetened versions instead of the sweetened. And dried fruit, same deal. Dried fruit has a little bit more sugar than it would in the fresh version, but that's okay. It's when they add more sugar to that. So just watch your labels. So foods that help insulin levels. Cinnamon, it improves gut bacteria, it stabilizes your blood sugar, and helps with other markers of metabolic syndrome such as cholesterol. You can use low glycemic sweeteners like honey, maple syrup, coconut sweeteners, and honey has actually been shown to help stabilize blood sugar and is good for your gut bacteria, as well as it has some good enzymes to help digestion. And legumes, so that's your chickpeas, your kidney beans, lima beans, green peas, and lentils. And they help stabilize your blood sugar in the meal, after the meal that you consumed, and then after the next meal that you consume. So if you have these twice a day, you're going to stabilize between all meals. Whole grains and sourdough bread will do the same thing for your insulin levels. And having meals and snacks with fat, fiber, and protein are the best for stabilizing blood sugar levels and making you feel sustained, lowering your cravings later. So you're not going to be reaching for that candy bar. And a snack with just a carbohydrate before bed will spike your sugar levels, and then that drop is going to activate your cortisol, and that's going to be too high, and it's supposed to be low while you're sleeping, and that could be the cause of your disrupted sleep. So if you're going to have a snack before bed, make sure you pair it with a protein source of some sort. And dates and figs help stabilize blood sugar as well, but no sugar added versions. And so do lemons, limes, apples, and berries. You can also do 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, preferably soaked in water. That makes it, brings out the fiber and makes it more easier to digest. And you can add that to a meal throughout the day, smoothies, oatmeal, things like that, wherever you can think you can get it in there. And 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and water before a meal will also help stabilize your blood sugar levels and spark digestion, bringing out that bile in your liver. And you can also try to eat smaller meals throughout the day to prevent those dips, and make sure it has that fat, fiber, and protein. There are some supplements that can help too. Like in that metformin study, it's proved that good gut bacteria will help. So probiotics, and unfortunately there's so many different strains of bacteria that you can't just, not all probiotics are considered the same. Chromium will also help with your blood sugar levels, and B vitamins, because that supports your stress response. And I think that's all for the demonstration, but I'm going to talk about what I offer. I am a functional microbiome educator, and I offer one-on-one nutritional consults. And those are great because they help figure out the root of your problem. My intake form is very extensive. I want to know things that happened to you in your childhood, how you ate back then, and I'm looking for clues that could be contributing to that root cause of your health issues. And I also offer online professional grade high quality supplements, and you will get 5% off if you sign up with me. And I just want to note that I do receive a percentage of that purchase. And I have a 12-week online educational and functional hormone balancing program with gut health and all of the support you need for proper hormone function. And here it is. It's called Hormones in Harmony, a functional balancing approach for women. And it is 12 weeks. And every week is going to build on the next week. And because, as we know, stress ruins messes up with our hormones. And if we're trying to fix our hormones, I don't want to stress you out because change is hard. And you get weekly recorded videos, kind of like this one, at least half an hour. So it is like a one-on-one with me. You're learning the basics, the foundational. You get a 28-day flexible menu plan with 90 amazing recipes, or your own template to do it yourself, because we cook how we cook. We like to eat what we like, and you're not going to, it's very stressful to overhaul your whole diet. And that's why I've made this kind of little bits, and just to teach you which foods you need for where your problem is. And you get the weekly shopping list for thorough compliance, because it all starts with your shopping list, what you're going to eat all week. And you get complete instructions to understand what you're eating and why you need to eat these. Lifestyle suggestions throughout to help you guide through your process, keep you going step by step, and we're going to focus on good digestion and hormone questionnaire. That's going to replace any expensive testing. It's going to be based on your symptoms, and that questionnaire is going to show you which areas of your body needs the support, and then in turn which foods are going to help you get there. And you get a kitchen makeover and how to adapt your favorite recipe. Things like that. Tons of handouts, and you have them forever. And we're going to track your progress as you go. Because like I said, your decline was gradual, so is your incline back to better health. It's going to be gradual, and you need to keep that momentum going. See where you've been. And you get full email support with me, and there's an app. You get portal message, so you get total support through the whole process. And the best thing about it is that you're going to get 3 one-on-one consults with me, and you're going to have your foundational knowledge, so I'm not telling you the same thing over and over again. And then when you come to your one-on-one, we're focusing right on you and whatever is your problem, because everybody is different. And the price is $12.97 Canadian, and that's including the tax. But if you mention this talk, you can receive $200 off. And you can reach me at any of these modalities. And I hope you are starting to notice that hormones have a huge role in your overall health. Anything, male, female, doesn't matter. And if you want to sign up for my email after, I just send out one a week, roughly. Just give you little tips just to spark your interest. And next month, I'm not sure what we're doing, but it's probably going to be hormone related as well. So thanks for coming out, everybody.